you know what? Just, yeah, go for it. Take that leap of faith because you have the right to be happy. You have the right to shuffle the cards. Like, you have the right to every day decide of another ending. You're not cursed. That's what I want to say. And I hear people coming from, trust me, I've been hearing so many stories, painful ones, but I don't believe that your childhood is a life sentence of your adulthood. Yes, maybe it's going to be harder. I'm not saying it's not, but I think you can still give yourself permission just to try. To have that audacity. I love that word. Audacity and boldness. I love that. I'm a French woman in America. Like, they thought I was crazy 15 years ago with my Family Constellations, and I published a book with a house. So if I am here, oh my God, you can do it.
All right, welcome back, family. I'm here with a very new friend, Mariné Sélénée, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Yes, this connection was formulated like many of these podcasts are, just seeing someone's energy and then being magnetized to it. I saw her speaking, and there were like no captions, but her presence was magnetic. I clicked on the thing, and what she was saying seemed very true, but I was telling her before, there was a good balance of being piercing and direct, but also being compassionate. So it's like, this is the truth that you need to hear. But then also she was like, but also if that doesn't apply to you, no big deal.
Yeah.
So it was a certain confidence that to be a vessel for the transmission, and then to just say, this is the transmission, and if it resonates, then you can come deeper into this. And I resonated with that.
Thank you.
Reached out and invited her, and here we are.
Thank you so much.
I know that you do multiple types of healing work, but I saw the family constellation work. Can you explain what that is?
Family Constellations modality is all about healing from your family story, your ancestors, your grandparents, your parents, and it's basically giving yourself permission to break free from anything that never belonged to you first place. But of course, because you want to belong, you're just going to repeat toxic patterns or behaviors out of loyalty. And until you don't recognize your family story, you might still suffer from it. So I help you reclaiming your own destiny.
That's powerful, reclaiming your own destiny. And most of the people that have come on that they offer, it's usually because they walked that path themselves and overcome and transcended that thing, and the modality they learned was something they used and now they teach. So what I like to do is give people 3 minutes and 33 seconds to say, I was born here and this was my journey to...
I would say that we all have a family, okay? Like, this is just for sure. And I have my own family. I had my own struggles. And I think I just wanted to understand my father, why it happened and everything. So that's why also I fell in love with Family Constellations, because I was going to be a psychologist back to France. And
so let's start back. So you were born in France?
Yes, I was born in France.
Okay.
Paris. I was going to be a psychologist. I graduated and everything. But at the end of my teaching of school, I was like, something is missing. It was not really palpable or concrete because I really wanted to heal. That was my thing. Talking is nice. I have nothing against talking, but you can say whatever you want. You can stay very shallow and not going deep. And my personality is I just want to take the right actions and I want to heal. Because I don't believe in being miserable and unhappy for your entire life. And so I moved to the United States at 22, 23. And after a painful divorce, I was introduced to Family Constellations. And at that moment, I was like, wow, that's what I want to do. Because Family Constellations is no bullshit. I don't know if I can say that on your podcast.
You can talk how you talk.
Okay. You don't waste your time. Like, you are here to work on something. And if you take full responsibility and if you own like who you are, it can be so transformative and life-changing. And that's why I fell in love with it. I always say that Family Constellations found me and I started working on myself, just on a personal level. And then I was like, I think that's what I want to do because it made so much sense to me that I was like, okay, that's it. So I went back to school in New York. And then in 2015, I started working like my own private practice. And since then, I'm still in love. I don't know for the next 10 years, but I still believe in what I do. And I think that's what matters the most, especially when you work with people.
What was your family life like in Paris? What was it like for you to grow up there? What were your family dynamics that you felt like you needed to grow beyond?
I have a younger brother, 4 years younger. My parents were together until they got divorced when I was 22, like 21, 22. The thing about, on my mom's side, I had my grandparents, my cousins, my uncle, my aunt. It was a big family. But on my father's side, it was always a big secret. I only knew my grandmother, so my dad's mom. And my father was very secretive, mystery. He was a mystery. You know what? Let's put it that way. We knew his background from Prussia and Germany and Argentina, but it was always a big secret. I was scared of him. My father looks like very much like the Prussian guy from the East. So blue eyes, very tall, very silent and everything. So physically he was there, but emotionally he was not at all. And sometimes, like I say in my book, my mom was telling us a few of his own childhood because my brother and I, we were curious. Of course, that's a silent parent, so you want to know more about him. We always had a difficult relationship, me and him, because I think I was a very emotional kid, very sensitive, feeling way too much. And my father didn't know how to deal with that because I was triggering him. Yeah, it was hard. Long story short, at 21, early 20s, my parents got divorced. And my father made the conscious choice to disown us. He was like, if your mother leaves me, we are not a family anymore. So yeah. And I was like, what's the big? And I was like, why are you doing what your own family did to you? Because my father was raised by his mom, his grandmother, and his great-grandmother. His father was in Argentina. And it was all a mix of the stories there. And actually then when my grandmother passed away 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we learned that actually she was never married with my grandfather. She took his last name, but never married, which is wild. I don't know with the administration, but anyway. And then actually I also learned that his father recognized my father before actually his mother. And it's when my grandfather recognized my father that finally his mother decided to recognize him because she did not want him to move to Argentina with his dad. So it's new information, but from 2 years ago, and I'm almost 40. So it was always that, mystery. And I was like, how can our father gave up on us while he did experience the same thing here as a child and being born after World War II and with a single mom? It was not accepted in our society. It was still I don't know if it's more accepted now, but at least it's tolerated. I became curious about it. So I was like, how come you can just repeat the same stories that you suffered from to your own children? Mm-hmm. And that's how I ended up crossing the path of family constellations. But otherwise, honestly, I had a nice childhood. Like, I'm not going to complain, of course, with ups and downs and everything. But my mother was a mom and a dad. That's for sure. She was a single mom being married, because as a husband, my father was good. Like, he was great. He was really so much in love with her. Parents are very smart people, especially my father, very sharp-minded and everything. So he was unable to give us that love and that safety, but he gave us, being me and my brother, that sharpness, like just read a lot of books, be curious about everyone. We traveled a lot, which is a gift. My parents were convinced that we had to talk multiple languages to always accept and respect religion, culture, people, that there is no difference, being polite, thinking before talking. So I love those values because I think it's actually missing right now in our society. So at least they gave me that strong foundation of just being open to that person in front of me. We might disagree, that's okay, but we don't need you to fight or to be angry and everything. So yeah, in a nutshell,
Okay. Yeah. That gives a lot more texture to the experience of you growing up. So you said your parents got divorced when you were 22 and you also moved to the States when you were 22. Were those things connected?
Funny enough, and I wrote it in my book, my mother, around the same age, maybe 23, 24, she was already married to my dad and she got a job offer in America with a green card and everything. But because my father was working for a huge corporation, he could not leave France. And so my mom decided to stay with him and everything. No regrets at all. But this is what subconscious loyalty is, because I got married at 22. And then like 22-ish, like I moved to America with my former husband. So I think in a way it was also a subconscious loyalty towards my mother, like just, I'm going to do it for you, mom. But then I think having your parents getting divorced, okay, you know what? It is what it is, okay? And I don't see it as a failure. I think it's actually brave to be like, you know what? We had a lovely time together. Just be happy with another chapter. I really don't think it's a failure, okay? There is beginnings and I think it's beautiful, but I think it's a betrayal from my father. Disowning us for 10 years. I haven't seen my father. Like for 10 years, it was like he never existed. You spend 22 years, 21 years with your father, as not good as he was still my father, and I respect him for that. But then, how can you have that? I don't know. I know it was a pain. It was such unbearable for him that he had to cut all of the ties. But how can you do that to your own children? So then I met my husband. We met in June. We got married in August. And 2 months. And we moved to America because
when you were 22, right?
Exactly. We're 22. Exactly. We got married in Vegas. Yes, a big cliche and everything.
So wait, did you meet him in America or you met him in Paris and then you went to to America on a trip and then you got married in Vegas?
Yes, we did. We did that.
Wow.
That man was the opposite of my father. Madly in love with me, even too much, actually. And I was like, wow, that's so cool to be loved that way. Like when you're 22, who are you? You're just like a teenager / tiny adult. So you're like, oh my God, it's so great. And I guess it was just putting some love on my own pain. So I was like, that's so cool. And so yeah, I was like, and I sent a text to my mom, just married. I thought it was pretty cool. My mom is an attorney. She was like, what did you do? Because just for getting married in Vegas is a real challenge. You have 6 weeks to cancel the license. But after 6 weeks, it's too late. And I didn't know that because it's a French American cliche. It's cool. I watch Melrose Place and French. It's like my movie, like American. And no, it was real. Anyway, my mom was like, what did you do? I'm like, don't worry, Mom. It's for fun and everything. We had to get divorced back to France, like after. But yeah, then we moved to America because I really wanted to move to LA, actually, at first. LA, my thing. But my ex-husband had friends and family in Miami. So I was like, please, I prefer taking care of you in Miami because I know some people. And he was in his masculine. So I was like, sure. But then it was a disaster when we arrived in Miami. So I went to LA actually, and we got divorced a few years after.
Okay. So that's quite a story, but I think it's common for people to be magnetized to romantic partners that either are like their parent or the opposite of their parent, but either way, it's highly influenced by the type of home environment they had. And I'm imagining that I don't know a lot about family constellations, but I'm imagining it's about creating more awareness around some of those things and being able to be more conscious about what's driving the behaviors. Yeah, I'm curious, at what point in the journey did you tap into family constellation? Was it after you got divorced?
Actually, yes. Well, I mean, yes, it was during the breakup. It was during, yeah, exactly. That's when I was desperate because I'm a Cancer. I don't know if you know anything, but I'm a Cancer. So I'm all about love. Like being.
So what's your big three? Your Cancer sun and your moon and your.
So Cancer sun, Capricorn rising. Thank you. And moon in Gemini.
Capricorn rising. That's the opposite of Cancer, right?
Yes, that's it. So the warmth and the cold. Gives me back. What about you?
I'm an Aries sun, Libra rising, Libra moon, and my north node is in Cancer.
My north node in Cancer. My north node is in Taurus. So yeah, I was all about love and everything. And I was suffering because I could not understand why, despite his love for me, I really think that he's the only man who loves me that much. But it became toxic. It became violent. And it's part of his journey. Like, of course, we were connected at some point, but I was like, why did it happen to me? Like, why did I couldn't say anything? So when I got introduced to Family Constellations, I was in a place of despair, of being hurt, and I couldn't find an exit, a solution. You should try one day, and you can always do one with me if you would like, of course. But when you enter the field of Family Constellations, and you are sure that this is your father's fault, it's him, and you are good and everything is nice. And then the constellation shows you something completely different. That's a big slap on your face too, because it's like a reality check. Like it's black and white. Like there is a lot of gray in the middle. And for me, it was just an awakening and the beginning of my healing journey. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's powerful. I definitely have done some deep family work and I have moved away from the idea of fault. I try not to operate in the fault because it tries to compress things so neatly. And that's just not the way life is, because when I hear your story, then I have a lot more context about why you made the choices that you made. And the same thing is true for anyone when you hear their story. I had a difficult relationship with my father for a long time, and my parents got divorced when I was 2, and we were ostracized for a long time. And I held a lot of resentment and like pain towards that, which affected my relationships because there was the abandonment wound and all that stuff. But when I started my own healing journey in the meditation and the yoga and was guided by people into more inner realms and more in touch with the idea of oneness and not being an ego consciousness, then I was able to reach out to him with curiosity and get to know him and ask him about his childhood, like start to figure out why he is the way he is. And yeah, when I did that, the same way I can just hear your story without any judgment and be like, yeah, it makes sense. I understand how A went to B, went to C. With him, it was the same. I was like, okay, yeah, I see how this, then this. And the same thing with your dad. You said, why would your dad do the same thing that his dad did? But that's why, because that's what he knows. Exactly. It's just patterning something. And I feel like the work that you and I and many people in this particular generation are like cycle breakers, where we do have the opportunity to pattern interrupt the flow of our lineage. And through our own example, we become embodied in that transformation so that we can guide others. But that starts with what you're doing right now, which is being able to just stand up and tell your story. Because if you I can tell that you've done a lot of healing around it, because if you hadn't, you wouldn't be able to talk about it in this way.
Yeah, I'm pretty open and I love sharing my story. I love hearing people's stories. I think it's so inspiring.
Yeah. So how long ago did you get divorced?
In 2010. So 15 years.
Since you got married when you were 22 and you, I would imagine, know yourself much better when you got divorced, or at least now know yourself much better as a result of the inner work that you've done. What has shifted as far as your relationship with yourself from 2010 to now?
Oh, good question. To be honest with you, it took me a lot of years to make peace with the woman that I was with men. Because there is your relationship with yourself, and then there is the relationship, of course, with the masculine, with men. My relationship with me, myself, and it has been a work in progress, but I would say it's only been 2 years. Yeah, it's been 2 years now that I have a better relationship with who I am. I accept who I am. I accept my strength and my flaws. And actually, I'm in the midst of that process of having compassion for my younger self, because I think sometimes you think, oh my God, how blind was I? Why I couldn't say stop? Not anymore. It's enough. I want a great guy. And sometimes, you know what? It's not the time. Sometimes you have to go even deeper. And maybe it was also to help me with my practice and my other clients. I had to go through all of that, like death and remarriage and heartbreak and everything to finally at some point understand more people. Because I believe that you can always hold space for others. But I think when we do our work, we also need to understand on some level. Because otherwise, I think it's just more difficult to be really of help, like of your clients, patients. From 2010 to 2025 now, it's been 15 years. And I would say I believe fully in my emotions and feelings. For a long time, I thought it was my weakness to feel too much, to be too much, to want love too much, to have a very strong intuition, my gut feeling right away, wrong, right place, right job, whatever it is. So I finally made peace with that. That, yeah, you know what? It's who I am. And I have empathy and I have compassion. And I'm very intuitive. It's also been 15 years in America. And I love, I'm an American citizen now, but I still have my French accent. I'm still a French woman. I'm
Yes,
still,
you are.
and I love that actually. I love being still that Frenchy woman in America. Because sometimes I can just remove myself from a scene or anything if I really don't want to speak English or Spanish. I'm just like, and I love that. I love that still that foreign film. I don't know. And of course, some people are going to be like, oh, she does not understand anything. Yeah, sure. No problem at all. But yeah, you can just hide sometimes.
Uh-huh.
I love that. You know what? I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I think honestly, late 30s has been the best. So peace is coming.
Uh-huh.
I don't know for you. I don't know how old you are, but yeah, peace is coming more. Just this is who I am. Take it or leave it.
Yes, I agree. I'm 42.
You're 42. Yeah, I'm 39. We are same generation.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. I think life keeps getting better and better. And in so many ways, it feels like life is beginning now. And for instance, I always wanted to be a musical artist. And it was something I always said, okay, I'll do this thing first, or I'll build my career this way, and then I'll do this. And you know how those things go. And I didn't start taking it seriously until last year. And I did last year, and I took it seriously. And the songs that I created, I feel are very powerful. Like I was just listening to them yesterday on a walk with somebody with our headphones. And I feel like when people are younger, because music is typically a young medium, that there can be a lot of innovation in the sonic textures. So people can create a new sound, right? Be like, oh, this sounds new, right? But they haven't had so much life experience to communicate necessarily something new. They are worthwhile. It may be intense emotion with the new sonic style, but I feel like once you're older and you do have the wisdom and the gravitas, then you can, like the content of what you're expressing starts to deepen.
I agree.
But yeah, when you were talking about hiding behind French, I was thinking that must be a fun thing to do, to be able to actually understand really well, but people think you don't. Yeah. How many, and you said your parents had you speak multiple languages. How many languages do you speak?
I used to speak 4 because
Uh-huh.
I had German.
Okay.
I gave up on.
Uh-huh.
No, yeah, and I guess it was my father's background, so I think it was just like,
Yeah, German's an interesting language. Have you heard of synesthesia, where people hear sounds and they see colors and pictures and things?
yes, I heard about it. Yeah.
Yes. If you think about language, then a language can be either more angular or masculine or more like circular and feminine. So German is on the extremity of masculine, like a lot of consonants, a lot of and then English is in the middle.
Yeah. I
And
was going to,
then Hawaiian is on the feminine side, like aloha, Maui, Kauai, where all the vowels are together. German is all the consonants, Hawaii is all the vowels. There's never two consonants together in Hawaiian, and then English is in the middle.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a certain musicality to how different languages are spoken. Like even listening to you, it feels to me something about the way French people, specifically French women, speak feels like quintessential femininity to me. Like the breathy way that they speak. I was a film major in school. I remember watching the French New Wave and Truffaut and all these people. So I
Wow.
have these strong archetypes of these stories. So yeah, it's just fun to dip into different cultures and get exposure to the world and different perspectives through that way.
It's the best. It's the best. Honestly, it's the best in life. Traveling and meeting people and hearing stories and connecting. I love that.
Where are some of your favorite places you've traveled to?
La Habana, San Fuegos, La Vallée de Viñales, Cuba for me was wow, breathtaking.
You live in Miami, right?
I live in Miami, yeah.
Okay, so you're very much in the Latin culture.
Yeah, Latin. I love Latin culture. I love it. I love it. Egypt was also a wonderful trip. The history, like the smartness of those people.
How would you describe the difference between French culture and Latin culture? Because for me, I would think of it as Latin is very, I don't know if sensual was the word, because when I think of Miami, I think of very like sensual and kind of heart-centered. And French, when I think of it, I think it was more intellectual. Like they enjoy pleasures, but it's like the wine is this. That's just my conception.
We need to think about it.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to talk. Yeah, I would say that Latin culture is more straightforward. Novela. When you look at telenovela, it's all over the place.
Right.
When you look at French, so it's more, let's think about it. Let's smoke for 2 hours, drink wine. I think we are the worst nightmare for hospitality in America.
Uh-huh.
Getting a table with French people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just 90 minutes. 90 minutes, sweetie. We're not even starting on the appetizer. They hate us. Yes, and they're like French are going to stay hours. But that's what I like about us. And Italy also is the same. Spanish people from Spain also are the same. So I think Latin, like South of America and Cuba and everything, they are more straightforward, like maybe more dramatic in a certain way. But yeah, I love the
Maybe
music.
more reactive.
More reactive.
The emotions are more on the surface.
Yeah, even the Spanish is different because Argentina, for example, the Spanish is more like the one from Spain, like it's more European background. So it's interesting.
So now that you've been through the gauntlet, and in your story, did I catch you say that you had been remarried, like you married a second time?
That's right.
Okay. And when you were approaching that marriage, you had already been through the family constellation therapy training. So were you able to, how did you think your level of awareness or conscious choosing was different the second time?
I don't think I had any. Because to be honest with you, that second marriage, that did not last either. I was looking for a nice guy. Like I was looking for someone to take care of, to be in control because I was so hurt and I was still not healed. I got remarried at 28, 29. And with him, he was a sweetheart, really very nice, very difficult family story. But I felt I was safe with him because I was in control of him as he was so lost. I would say, but actually thanks to him, he gave me that space without knowing because it's way after that I was able to connect the dots. He holds space from me to make peace with the masculine. But through my own way. Like, I'm going to feel in control. I'm still not in my feminine, but I need that for my next step. And it was very much in his feminine. So that's why also it worked at first.
I see. Yeah, it's interesting. So if it sounds like your dad was emotionally distant, which
he was
made you magnetized to a man who was the opposite.
Yep.
And then that situation didn't work out. And then you were magnetized to the opposite of that man. I think this is a common practice, our route as we mature, almost like our string. Sometimes it's too sharp and then sometimes it's too flat. And you find even emotional sobriety you're making clear decisions.
Exactly.
I think it takes time to figure that out. And I think it's also not something you can do from a book. It's something
Yeah.
you learn in the field.
You have to experience it.
Yes.
Like you have to test yourself.
Yeah. I've never been married, even though I would say probably been romantic, but my sense of romanticism feels much more grounded now, especially thinking about the institution of marriage, which seems very much related to the government. It's like a business arrangement.
Yeah, I used to love it. I would say now that I'm older, I agree with you, but it's about trusting. Like you are getting married, just making sure that he's not going to leave in a way. I think there is that possession, and women had no money yet. We didn't have a career and everything. So now things have changed. And I think we're also rediscovering a way of being together through trust.
Yeah. And I think that's anything. It's less about what you're doing, more about the intention and the posture you're taking when you're doing it. And I think every path can be a spiritual path to more growth. And I think that a relationship can simultaneously be the most rewarding and beautiful and the most challenging at the same time. Because when you really connect with somebody and really intense mirroring that happens, and it can be easy to want to project and say, oh, you are doing this like it's you, and to be able to be like, what's actually happening? And to have a container that can hold the intensity of that energy, I think is a beautiful thing. And it's only probably at this point in my life that I recognize the necessary amount of deliberation and intention that it takes to build a safe container to house that energy. Because when you're younger, you're passionate and you just jump into things without really understanding all the layers that are getting linked up together. But I do think that level of commitment can be one of the most beautiful aspects of life.
Mhm.
And I also think to be more like a sports contract. Yeah, you say, okay,
We can
5
renew
years,
the
5
season.
years, we're going to do this thing, and then we'll check in and see if we want to renew the contract.
Yeah, that's the way. Yeah.
And that way you do have some level of commitment, right? And you're like, I'm committed to this. I'm not just going to bounce out. But it also means that you recognize that unconditional love is still how you show up. If you make a commitment to do something, to me, being a husband or wife is job. Like you're making a commitment to do certain things within the context of the relationship.
I think, I don't know for you, but I think our generation, born in the 80s, we are the draft of that new way of being in love. I don't know if it's just, we are trying to figure out how to love each other like differently and finding a new connection.
Yes, I agree. This is how I view evolution. It's not linear. It's more like a spiral staircase. So you do end up, if this is 12 o'clock and you're going around, you do end up here again. And if you don't evolve, you're at the same level. If you evolve, you're like an octave. And then you can keep going up. So the way that relates to masculine and feminine relating, like to me, I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, pretty traditional masculine, feminine roles. Then I went to live in California for 15 years. There it's very liberal, very open, fluid genders, fluid gender roles, fluid energetic dynamics. And I explored that and subscribed to those ideologies while I was there. Now coming here, I'm coming back into a traditional mindset, but in a different way. So for instance, let's say in the 50s or 60s, I'm the man. The woman should be at home making me a sandwich because I'm the man, right? And the housemaker was somehow like seen as a lesser thing. And at this point, I'm like, yes, I'm the man. I'm out doing these things and the woman can be at home, but not because she's lesser, but because the curator and the cultivator of the home experience is actually the most important role in society. There should be a certain level of protection for this incubation chamber that the family is being made in. So the masculine is in service to creating this container, to giving the materials, and then the feminine is in charge of arranging a certain way. So it's more like the queen bee thing, where the workers are out there, they bring the materials.
I like that. And there is that saying, men do good to feel good and women feel good to do good. And I think it's exactly with your example as well. That's our difference, male and female.
Totally. Same energy, different polarity.
Exactly. We want the same thing, but through a different pathway.
Right.
And when we accept and respect each other's, then I think we can finally feel connected even more.
Yes. Yeah, there's a beautiful harmony that happens between the masculine, which is loving intelligence, and the feminine, which is intelligent love.
Yeah, together.
So now in this higher level of awareness that you receive through these life experiences, through this marriage, through this family constellation work, what do you feel excited to step into it?
What do I feel excited for my future?
Yeah. Like what lights you up these days?
My nephew and my niece, I'm obsessed with them. But love. I'm really excited about meeting that true love. You know what? Like that beautiful relationship. I've been also diving deeper into a new modality, endobiogeny. And I'm going back to school in 2 months, not in a month, actually now to study. It's all about hormones and endocrine system. And I'm really passionate about it. I really want to help women's health. And yeah, just my work, still Family Constellations. And what lights me up is always learning new things, meeting new people, hearing new stories, just finding joy despite the harshness of our world now. We have everything, but we have been losing sight of the principle, which is a bit sad, but you can complain, or you can also decide to be part of the change and being like, you know what? I'm not going to change the world, but I believe in the ripple effect, like dominoes or butterfly wings. If I do my best with myself, I will do my best with my clients, with my friends, with my family. And that's how we create a wave of happiness. So that's what lights me up right now.
I agree. So it's resting in inner joy and meeting all of life with that level of presence. I hear that. What does a exciting weekend look like? What are some of the things in the real world that bring you joy?
An exciting weekend, an unexpected one, unexpected surprise. I don't know. I booked 2 flight tickets for Tulum. Let's go. Yeah, sure. I love surprises. I love unexpected stuff. I think it's the best. I don't know for you, but I think it's the best moments when it's completely unexpected. When you don't expect anything and it turns out to be one of the most beautiful moments, events of your life. I love that.
So you're an adventurer.
Yeah, I think you have to when you move to another country. I think you better.
Yeah. And if you could give people some advice around how to approach the healing journey with courage or to overcome the initial resistance of facing your inner self before it's, no, I have to do this because I'm in so much pain.
I think it's easier to be miserable and depressed than to be happy. Happiness is scary. We're afraid of being happy. We're afraid of being in love. We're afraid of being abundant, etc. Because we don't know if it's going to last. But honestly, it's one life, maybe more, but oops. Why don't you want to give the best to yourself? Why don't you want just to be at your best? And whatever is your best, you define it. But it's already hard because no matter what, ups and downs are part of life. That's how we grow and we evolve. But I think it's so brave and bold to be like, you know what? I'm going to break free. I'm going to just change my perceptions. This is exciting. And I understand people who don't want to go there because it's also exhausting and everything. But this is the only way that I know how to live life. To be excited. Otherwise, I will be bored. Maybe not you, but I think embracing your healing journey is not a burden. It's the opposite for me. Yes, of course, at first, oh my God. But then it opens up so much. And I love that. I would say that openness. You know what? Just, go for it. Take that leap of faith because you have the right to be happy. You have the right to shuffle the cards. Like, you have the right to every day decide of another ending. You're not cursed. That's what I want to say. And I hear people coming from, trust me, I've been hearing so many stories, painful ones, but I don't believe that your childhood is a life sentence of your adulthood. And yes, maybe it's going to be harder. I'm not saying it's not, but I think you can still give yourself permission just to try. To have that audacity. I love that word. Audacity and boldness. I love that. I'm a French woman in America. Like, they thought I was crazy 15 years ago with my Family Constellations. And I published a book with a house. So if I am here, oh my God, you can do it.
Amen, Ashe, and so it is.
Thank
you for your courage
Thank
to
you.
walk the path that you've walked and to retain the levity. You know, I feel the wisdom, but I definitely feel like the lightness and the playfulness in your spirit. Just celebrating you, and I'm glad that you went through it and now are able to guide others.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So how can people work with you if they feel inspired?
You can find me on Instagram, Mariné Sélénée. My website is also marineselenee.com. My book is Connected Fates, Separate Destinies, available on Amazon or Barnes & Nobles, everywhere. And I also have a podcast, Tell Me Your Story, which is all about your family story. And I'm pretty easy to contact, reach out to you. I'm here.
All right. We will put all those links in the show notes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.